right, so my name is Laura. I am from, as I said, I'm from Pernambuco here in Brazil, the countryside of Pernambuco. So it's really nice to meet all of you today. So many people from so many different places. Very nice. And we are here today to talk about the TKT, right, which is a Cambridge exam for English teachers. First of all, before we start, I would like to let you know that anytime that you would like to ask a question, you can just use the chat. All right, feel free to use the chat. If you want to share something, if you want to ask something, you can just type it there and we'll take a look at it. All right. But yeah, let's talk about the TKT. Before we go for the TKT itself, I have here a quote for you. Can you see it? Yeah, all right. It's my first time using this platform, so I just needed a little bit of validation in the beginning. So this is a quote by Scrivener. Maybe some of you already know him. He's a very famous author in our field. And he says, it can feel safer to stay fixed, unmoved, but this means we grow stale and our lessons grow tired. And I put this quote here because the main point that we're going to talk about today is development, right? TKT, as an exam for teachers, is a type of professional development that we can engage with. So it can look a little bit challenging. It can look a little bit like it's too much, a little bit overwhelming. But because staying as we are and where we are is a little bit easier, but that also means that as teachers, we don't have the opportunity to develop that much if we just decide to keep doing things the same way that we do. So I know the name Cambridge sometimes has a lot of weight, and some people relate that to being too challenging, being too difficult. But we're going to see today how TKT is actually a very simple exam, something that you can do and something that will improve your teaching life. Hello, Lucy. Welcome. Before we get to TKT itself, let's take a look at why you should take the TKT. Hello, Fabiana. Welcome. I have here some reasons for you, some reasons why TKT would be interesting to you as a teacher or as someone who would like to start teaching English. The first one would be you are going to feel more confident. Any kind of training session or course or certification exam is going to give you more confidence. And especially TKT, because with the TKT, you are going to study specifically methodology related to English teaching. So whenever you have to deliver a class, you will have the feeling of, oh, I know how to do this. I have studied that a little bit more, and I know how it's supposed to go. Also, if you have the TKT on your CV, it's going to give you some advantage compared to other people who don't. We know that having a certificate related to a specific area shows your interest and shows how prepared you are to do that. So also a little boost on your CV. As I have mentioned already, the professional development part, if you are a teacher who is already in service, you already have groups, you already teach, it's going to give you a little bit of perspective, different perspectives, right? If you start studying things and dedicating yourself to taking an exam and passing that exam. And the last reason that I have here for you why TKT is relevant for us, TKT also serves as a foundation for other courses like CELTA. CELTA is a goal for many teachers and also people who just want to start teaching. However, CELTA can look a little bit intimidating when you take a look at how the course goes, the structure, and especially if you take the intensive one that is very common here in Brazil. However, if you take TKT first, if you have the TKT exam first, you are going to feel a little bit less scared, probably. You are going to feel more prepared, more confident, because CELTA is a little bit scary. I know it looks like that. But when you take TKT, you already know lots of things about methodology. You see some concepts related to the delivery of the lesson. So it's going to make your life easier when you get there, right? Thank you, Anna. Thank you. So if CELTA is too much right now, consider TKT before taking CELTA so you can feel ready whenever your CELTA time arrives. All right. And with that in mind, these are going to be the topics related to TKT that we're going to discuss today. First, we're going to take a look at the structure and the assessment. So how the exam is organized and how you're going to be assessed, how the grades work. Also, we are going to take a look at the core modules. We're going to see that we have many modules for TKT. And the final one will be how to get ready to take that exam. Camila, the recording, probably, I guess, it's being recorded right now. So the time it's valid, it's forever. You don't have a final date on your certificate. I'm going to show you one when we talk about it. So just like the other Cambridge certificates. Let's go for the first one, structure and assessment. The TKT was developed by Cambridge Assessment, like other certificates that Cambridge University has, but it's specifically for teachers, teachers who teach English for speakers of other languages. So it's not a language certificate like FC or CAE, CAT, PAT, all those that we are more used sometimes to seeing being discussed. TKT is going to provide you a certificate related to methodology specifically, showing that you know things about methodology. So that would be a difference between TKT and FC, Fabiana. FC is a language certificate, so it gives you a CFR level. It shows that you can speak English at that level, while TKT shows that you know methodology at a certain level. All right. For the content, we have language use and language teaching and language learning as the main contents, the main areas that TKT is going to tackle in its questions. So you have questions more related to linguistics, questions related to how to deliver, how to plan a lesson, but this is pretty much all we need to know: how to use language and how to teach and how we learn language. Also, the CEFR, your language level for TKT, should be at least B1. You don't have to show a B1 certificate to take TKT. This is just the recommendation based on the level of vocabulary, the level of texts that you have on the exam, the level of material that you have to deal with when you're taking a prep course, for example, because yes, Camila, there is a prep course for TKT. So at least B1, but of course, if you're B2, C1, or even if you are below B1, you're free to take it, but maybe you'll have some trouble with the kind of vocabulary that you can find on the test. And TKT is an exam that has some parts. We have a total of 5 modules for this exam. So we have the core modules, and they don't have specific names. They are called modules 1, 2, and 3. We have the specialist module for CLIL, and also another specialist module for young learners specifically. On the right there, you can see the books. I have one of them with me here today. This is the material that the Cambridge University Press published, and it has all the content that you need to know to take the exam. So it's a really nice idea to buy this one if you're planning on getting ready for TKT. Here you have all the units, all the words, everything really that you need to know to take the exam. And we have this separation of core modules, specialist modules, because modules 1, 2, and 3, they're going to have all the foundation, let's say, all the general content that you should know as an English teacher. While the specialist ones, CLIO and young learners, they are going to be more directed to people who want to work with, well, children, first of all, or maybe bilingual schools, because CLIO is the methodology that is usually used in bilingual schools. So uh, it would be nice to take modules 1, 2, and 3 before taking the specialist ones, because they're going to give you the basic knowledge, let's say, that you need to take the more specialized ones. The book comes with a CD. Not really. Not really. You don't have listening practice. You don't have anything like that for TKT. We're going to take a look at the structure of the exam, and you'll see it's way less complex, let's say, than the language exams that Cambridge has. So we know now that TKT is divided in some modules. We have 5 total, yes. And what is expected of a candidate that is taking TKT is understanding over 500 terms describing the English language teaching practice, ELT practice. And I know it sounds like a lot when you see the number 500. It sounds like you have to memorize a whole dictionary to take one exam. But among those 500 words, you are going to find things like mother tongue, noun, praise, test. These are words that you need to have awareness of as a TKT candidate, but they're also words that we use in our daily lives. So I believe everyone here has seen the word test before, right? It's not something that you would need to learn for TKT. It's something that you already know. So you could focus your study time on other things that are less common in our daily lives. We have here, let's try a little bit so you can see how easy it is. I have here on the right the terms that I have just mentioned: mother tongue, oh, sorry, left. Mother tongue, noun, praise, and test. And on the right, you have the definitions of those terms according to the TKT book. Let's go one by one. Please take a look at the alternatives on the right. Tell me which one would be the definition for mother tongue, which is our number 1 there. Letter C. 1C. Nice. Yes, yes, yes. For the first one, mother tongue, we would have the very first language that you learn as a baby, right? Really simple, straightforward. What about number 2, noun? Which one would be the definition of a noun? 2A. Yes, nice. Noun, something that we use to name things, right? So the name of a place, a person, a thing. Nice. What about number 3, praise? Yes, exactly. Very good. What I have been telling you, right? Like, nice, yes, very good. This is praise. Tell someone that they have done a good job. And that leaves us with letter B. Yeah? Yes, letter B for the last one, test, formal assessment. Something we're used to as Brazilian students, as students in general, right? So as you can see, some of these terms, lots of these terms, are going to be pretty simple. There are things that we use in our lives, things that we already know what they mean. Maybe we need to readjust that knowledge just a tiny bit for the teaching context, but it's nothing out of this world. Does it mean that all 500 terms are going to be like that? Not really. We are going to have some of them that are a little bit more challenging, but it's something completely achievable, believe me. an example of a TKT question, the format itself, yes, you have some matching questions for TKT. You also have sometimes concepts like that, but here we have a mix of concepts, some things related to grammar like noun, and some things related to classroom management like praise. So you probably wouldn't have a question with these mixed concepts, but the format, completely possible. So, and since Camila talked about the format of the questions, that's what we're going to talk about right now. So, for the exam itself, now we know what TKT is going to ask of their candidates. We know them about the modules, and this is what you need to know about the actual exam, the day you have to sit to take the exam. So you have 1 hour and 20 minutes to answer each paper. So this goes for each module. If you take module 1, you're going to have 1 hour and 20 minutes to answer the 80 questions for module 1. All right. And it applies to all modules for TKT. All of them, all 5, have 80 questions, and you have 1 hour and 20 minutes to answer them. That gives you around 1 minute per question, which may sound like it's too little, but you'll see that sometimes it's too much. So it gives you the freedom to redirect your time to more challenging questions when you take it. And the type of task that you're going to have for TKT is very simple, exclusively multiple choice and matching questions. So someone asked before the CD, right, for listening practice. It's not necessary. When you take TKT, you don't have a listening part. You don't have a writing task like we do for the language exams. You don't have to write anything, actually. You just have to check the correct option and then shade the corresponding bubble there on your answer sheet. So don't worry about listening. Don't worry about writing. Don't worry about speaking. You also have no oral test or oral part of any sort. You only have to arrive, first of all, arrive, sit down, take a look at the 80 questions, answer them, transfer your answers to the answer sheet, hand in the answer sheet and the exam, and you are done. Simple, right? Also, you have a very simple marking system, because for other language exams, usually we have some questions that have 2 marks, 3 marks, and then you can get half of it correct. And for this one, you have a different way of marking it. But for TKT, we have 80 questions, and each question is going to carry 1 mark. So you can get 80 marks as the highest amount of correct answers on the test. If you get 1 question wrong, you don't get that mark for that question. Very, very simple. Christina, how much is the test? I don't know. Because the prices, they come from Cambridge. They consider how much the dollar is worth right now. So it's something that can vary a little bit. Also, you have to pay per module. So if you want, it depends on how many modules you want to take. If it's going to be 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, and Cleo, it's up to you, really, which ones you're going to take. Let's take a look at some questions, some actual TKT questions. Here you have 2 questions, and these, as I said, they're actual TKT questions. It's something that you can find on the exam just like that. The first one would be, thank you, Thais. Thank you for the correction too. Yes. The first one would be a phonology question. For this one, you have a phony, you have the symbol there, and you have 3 words. You should check the word that contains that phony. This is a very, very straightforward type of question, right? No long instructions, just very simple. Would anyone like to try? the answer for this one? Lots of people saying letter A. We have 2 people saying letter B. All right. Another one for letter B, but the majority says A. All right. This one would actually be letter B. It's one of the tricks that TKT likes to do. This phoneme here, actually, it's not a J sound. It looks like a J. Yes, we actually use the same symbol that we use for the J letter here in Portuguese and English, in languages, Western languages in general. But this represents the very first sound that we have in the word university. So that U that we make, it's almost a vowel sound. It's represented by that symbol. So, as I said before, we have lots of very straightforward things, and sometimes we have other concepts for TKT that we need to take a closer look at just to avoid being confused by the questions there. The second question that we have here is a little bit longer. This would be an example of a question that actually involves a concept that we use in the classroom. It's not something uh, as linguistic, let's say, as the first one. For the second one, you have also 3 options, and you should check the one that does not involve the concept of participation. All right, for this one is not the right one. It's actually the one that doesn't fit the concept of organizing participation in the classroom. Which letter would be the wrong one? And because it's the wrong, it's going to be our answer. Some people said C. We have some B's. B, yeah. All right. Yes, yes. This is going to be our answer, letter B. It's the only one that doesn't have any kind of participation, organizing participation going on there, right? So this is pretty much the type of question that you're going to find. Sometimes you have to check the correct one, just like question 32 that we have here. Sometimes you have to check the one that doesn't fit, the one that is not suitable for the instructions given, just like question 50 here. We also have this type of question that is a little bit longer, and in this case, we have a matching. How would I know if I have to check the right one or the wrong one? On the top of each page of the exam, you have the instructions. It's because here I only have extracts, but in the beginning of the page, they are going to tell you in capital letters, bold, underlined, when it's not the right one. They are very explicit about it. Christina, you can take any module that you want. If you want to take just module 2, you can. You're free to do it. And if you want to take 1, 2, and 3 at once, and you have a center that offers that, you can also do it. All right, so for this type of question, we have a matching. There are some words underlined there, and we need to match them to some more specific lexical terms. So for this one, we would need a deeper knowledge of linguistics to answer it. Yes, we're not going to answer everything here. Let's go for number 8, which is the first one there. You have growing up. It's a very common word in our vocab. Would growing up be a phrasal verb, a compound noun? What do you think? Some people saying A. All right. Exactly. Our favorites, right? Phrasal verbs. Exactly. Growing up is a phrasal verb. Very nice. Well done. For the other ones, you probably would need a little bit more time to check everything here, evaluate to see which one would be the correct one. But these are the format of questions that you can find on the TKT. It's going to be either multiple choice or this kind of matching that you have to do, sometimes with a text, sometimes with definitions, but that's it. Isn't it simple? Very nice. So now that we know how it works, what it looks like, what you're going to find if you take it, a very important question. Lots of people ask about that. The assessment part. Is it possible to fail TKT? What do you think? Can you fail it just like you fail an FC, for example? Camila sounds very sensible. I'd say yes. Yes. All right. Soraya said no. I believe so. I'd say yes. Actually, Soraya is correct. Soraya and Liz, right? Liz also said, I don't think so. It's not possible to fail TKT. There's no failing grade because we have a different system. It's not the same system that they use for the language exams. You are going to receive a band, right? We have 4 options of bands when you take any module of any TKT module. If you receive band 1, it shows that you have limited knowledge. Band 2, basic but systematic knowledge, and it builds up until band 4, which is the highest, and it shows that you have extensive knowledge of the content. Also, those bands are given according to the module that you take. So you don't receive one certificate for everything that you do. You receive one certificate per module. And also on the back of the certificate, I have one here to show you. I don't know how big my camera is, like how big you can see me there on your screen. But this is the TKT certificate that you're going to receive. It's pretty similar to the Cambridge format in general. You have your name, the band here, and also the module that you have taken right after the band. On the back, you have the descriptive grades. So if you have band number 1, you have the description here of what band number 1 represents, what it means. And the same thing for all the other bands. If you take all 5 modules, you're going to receive 5 certificates just like this with a band for each module that you take. Way better than being afraid of failing one of them, right? So that's it. I was going to say no numbers, but we do have a number, but it's just from 1 to 4, and that's it. And now that we have talked about all the basics, all the things that apply to every module, Noeli, yes, band 4 is the highest, exactly. 1, the lowest, 4, the highest that you can get. Now that we know how it works, let's take a look at the modules individually. We are going to focus on the core modules to check which content you're going to find in each one of them. As I said before, they're called the core modules because they contain all the basic knowledge that you need before you take the specialist ones, maybe. So let's take a look first at module 1. For this one, you are going to be tested on your English language and teaching background knowledge. So we have 3 specific areas that are inside module 1. The first one is describing language and language skills. For this one, you are going to find some questions related to grammar, vocabulary, phonology, reading, listening, speaking, all 4 systems and all 4 skills that we have with languages. So this is the part that of this module that is more related to linguistics. You're going to see some concepts that may be familiar to you if you have studied linguistics at college, for example, before. You also have the background to language learning, and for this part, you have questions related to motivation, to the difference between learning your mother tongue and learning a foreign language. Also, learning styles, learning strategies, things that might help your student and even yourself to learn in a more efficient way. And the final one would be the background to language teaching. For this one, you study approaches uh, that we may use as teachers in the classroom. So we have some beautiful acronyms for this one, like PPP, TBL, TTT. Maybe you have seen them before, but these are approaches that we can use when teaching, and you're gonna see questions about all of them. Also, some practice activities and how to assess your students, because that's the sequence that we follow in the classroom, right? We decide what we're going to do, we practice a little bit, and then we assess how well the students did in that activity. All of these topics, they are inside module 1. So we would have 80 questions for these areas here. For the second module, it's the module about lesson planning. The logic that the TKT core modules follow is module 1, you learn all the background knowledge that you need to teach. For module 2, you're going to apply that knowledge to plan an actual lesson. So we also have some areas here inside this module. The first one would be structuring a lesson plan. You're going to see some lesson plan components like deciding the timing for an activity, deciding which procedure you're going to use, how you're going to conduct that activity in the classroom. Also, selecting the aims for your lesson. We deal with lots of aims as teachers, and you're going to see things related to all of them in this part. And the second area inside module 2 would be the selection and use of resources for teaching. So you have some topics related to course books, how to examine a course book to decide if that one would be the best option for your group, if it fits your students' needs, if it's adequate for your context, if it's culturally sensible for your students. Also, about supplementary materials, we learn how to evaluate course books, but we know that no course book's perfect. So you also have some things related to how to supplement your course book whenever it's necessary, and also how to choose appropriate aids to use in your classroom. Nowadays, especially after the pandemic, we take technology for granted. So we have projectors and computers and internet connection, but sometimes we also have other options of aids that might help us when delivering a lesson. And this is something that Module 2 is going to make you think a little bit about. Edna, if you have a low score, yes, it's possible to retake the exam if you want to get a higher band. Completely possible. And for module 3, we have the delivery. The first one, we learn the background knowledge. The second, how to plan a lesson. The last core module that we have is delivering that lesson. So it's about managing what happens inside the classroom. Also, we have 2 areas for this one. The first one is the teachers and the learners' language in the classroom. So we're going to see some ways that the teachers may use to talk to their students, also some things that the students have to use in the classroom, things that sometimes we call classroom language, and also how to categorize some mistakes that that are going to happen because it's a learning environment, so mistakes happen, and sometimes we need the knowledge about what type of mistake that is, so we can correct them in a more efficient way. And that takes us for the second part of Module 3, which talks about the classroom management techniques more specifically. So you have questions about error correction. First, we categorize the mistakes. Now, how do we correct them based on what type of mistake it is? Also, you are going to see some content related to interaction patterns, how to group students inside the classroom, and how to deliver feedback. Because you have seen assessment before, right? But in this part, you see how to actually talk to the student, deliver the feedback, and maybe come up with some strategies for the future. And that's it for the content. Of course, we have some, uh, let's say, subdivisions inside each one and more areas that you may need to study before you take the TKT. But this is pretty much the areas that you need to be aware of so you can take all three core modules. Oh, about Clio, you are going to see concepts more related to that area. I don't have the Clio material with me right now, but for today, we're gonna check 1, 2, and 3 because these are the ones that cater to everyone. The Clio one usually is more directed for people who work at bilingual schools, so the public is a little bit more restricted. If I recommend taking all the modules, it depends on what you want to do. If you wish to, when you say all of them, I'm thinking about all five. It's a lot to take at once. If you feel prepared, go for it. I always say that go for it if you feel like you can do it. But it would be nice to evaluate what's your aim. Like, what do you want to do with that to see if it's uh, modules 1, 2, and 3. Yes, I do recommend taking all of them because they complement each other. You know, they talk about different areas, but they're all very, very extremely connected to each other. Maybe clue for a future talk. Yes, we can we can organize that for sure. Let's see some specific contents here. Thais, yes, 240 questions in a day. Probably. It depends on the center that is offering the exam. Sometimes they have different dates, but the most common one, I believe, it would be to have all of them very close together. I have here on the screen for you some specific bullet points, some contents that are part of this material here that I have showed you, part of the TKT modules 1, 2, and 3 course book. Let's take a look at them and see which module they would belong to. The first one that we have on the list is the components of a lesson plan. So it's a unit in this material that's going to bring you information about aims, about stages of your lesson, about timing, anticipated problems, also the solutions for those problems that might happen in your lesson. What do you think? Is that a content for module 1, background knowledge, module 2, lesson planning, or module 3, classroom management? Exactly, Thais and Adriana said module 2. This would be a module 2 content. So when you see all of those components and how to work with them when you plan a lesson. What about the second one, types of mistakes? So mistakes related to spelling, to wrong verb form, to subject-verb agreement, 1, 2, or 3. Yes? All right. Yes, yes, this would be 3, exactly. Categorizing the mistakes so we can offer a more efficient error correction to our students, right? And the last one, symbols from the IPA. And IPA stands for International Phonetic Alphabet. Just like that question that we saw with the J that is not really a J. Yes, this would be a module 1 content. Yes, nice. Thank you, thank you. So you can find all of these in this book here to get ready, to study, and to feel more confident for the exam day. So now that you're aware of how everything works, let's go for our last topic for today. which would be how to get ready. Remember, for TKT, we need to be aware of around 500 concepts related to language teaching, to language background, etc. Some of them are going to be easy, just like test. Some of them may be a little bit more challenging, just like that J symbol that we saw before. But it doesn't mean that it's something that you cannot do, right? Lucy. Yes, what Cambridge recommends after TKT is the CELTA course, right? It would be the next step on the ladder, let's say, of the methodology certificates. CELTA is a course that is more practical, though. So it's really nice to take TKT first, so you have all the theoretical ideas and context really good on your head, so you can take CELTA, which is a more practical. You have to actually plan and deliver lessons. You're going to be observed. Yes, CELTA. Thank you. So let's take a look of. Mhm. So if you're taking CELTA without TKT, maybe you felt a little bit lost in the beginning. There are lots of concepts that tutors use in CELTA, and sometimes we're not aware of what they mean, right? Yes, I know, I know. So yeah, how to get ready? How can we feel confident, more prepared, feel like can we can do it. We can get the band that we want when we take the TKT. The first recommendation is something that you can also find on the TKT course book, the orange one that I showed you before, which is the 4 R's technique, let's say. And we would have reading, reference, record keeping, and reflect. These are pieces of advice also that work for your career, for your life in general. The first one, reading, would be about really, it's a little bit obvious, reading material, getting in contact with everything that is going to provide you with knowledge, with content, with relevant information that may be helpful for the exam. So, using the TKT book, reading the TKT course book, of course, but looking for other sources, using other books, of course, as well. We have to make use of all the material that we have available for us, and there's a lot, not only on the internet, but also the good old bookstore can offer you lots of good reading material. So make sure that you seize every opportunity to keep on reading about your area, about our area. The second one, reference, is something that sometimes we forget a little bit. When we are in service already, when we have a course book that we work with, we tend to get a little bit biased sometimes by the ways that the course book works. So when we use different references, we keep in contact with dictionaries, with grammar books, with methodology books. We have access to different perspectives. So it makes our critical thinking sharper, let's say, because we are provoked in the sense that we have to think about things and not only follow the same course book that we use in our schools. So references, they are, of course, very, very important for someone who intends to take the TKT. The next one, we have record keeping. And this goes for people who are not teaching yet and also people who are teachers already. All right. When you keep records of things that you're reading, concepts that you have learned, and also for the teachers in service, you keep a record of your students' reaction and if things worked out or not when you try something new in your classroom. It gives you a lot of material for the next step, which is reflection. As teachers, one of the skills that we need to have is being able to engage with critical thinking at all times. We work in a field that we have to deal with people, right? It's one of the premises for this occupation. And it's really hard sometimes to perceive our development, to see our improvement. So, a way to do that is keeping track of what you're doing, keeping track of the things that you have learned, the materials that you have read, and reflecting. Have I become better? Am I getting better? Am I improving? What am I doing to apply all of these things that I'm reading about or things that I'm studying about to my practice? What am I doing to really get to the point that I want to be in the future? Because reading a book, just to read a book, it's nice, yes, as leisure, maybe, but not as professional development. We need to do something about it. If we just read it and we don't do anything, we don't reflect about that content, it has zero impact on our practice. We just read it, close the book, and it's there. So keep track of those 4 R's: read, reference materials, keep records, and reflect about everything that you have access to. All right. Also, talking a little bit about the manual itself, the TKT book. It's as I mentioned before, it's a very nice book. You have everything that you need to know for the TKT there. So you have here some pictures of the units. The book is divided in units. We have 33 in total. And they always have the definition of the concept for that unit first, then some key concepts that are going to make you understand that field, that area a little bit better. And after that, you have lots of activities to practice. So you have, if I'm not mistaken, 4 types of activities after every unit. The follow-up activities, usually they offer you the opportunity to think about real life situations and how to apply the content of the unit to that situation. The reflection activities, critical thinking part. The discovery activities, these are usually activities that are very useful for teachers who are teaching already, because they provide you with tools, with tasks to test in the classroom, like try doing this your next class, see how it works, if it works. And the final part that you have after every unit is the TKT practice task. So after you study the unit about phonology, you have the opportunity to answer some questions about phonology, just like the content might come up on the exam itself. So you have a little bit of practice with each topic individually. Also, after every module on the book, you have a mock test. So practice is something that is not going to be lacking if you get the TKT course book, really. So you have individual practice for each unit and also practice for each module, which is something great. Yes, there's also a mock test, exactly. 3, actually, right? 1 for each module. However, something that I would also like to mention here, because the tips that I have mentioned so far, they're very, very lonely, let's say. I have here another quote by Scrivener. It's from his book, Learning Teaching, and he says, "The quality of the progress you make in teaching is partly to do with other people." Sharing is a big thing in our community, right? When you have the opportunity to talk to other people, and especially other people who are going the same things that you are going through, it's something that usually provides us with validation, first of all, with ideas, because we are very creative people. Teachers tend to be very creative. When we have this opportunity to get in contact with other teachers, it's something that provides us with lots and lots of learning. Also, I'm not even going to mention like sharing materials and sharing sources, sharing books, sharing lots of things. So preparing for an exam is something that is going to be probably is going to be a little bit easier, a little bit more fun if you have other people who are sharing the same path that you're walking, right? And I remember someone asked in the beginning, is there a prep course? Yes, there is a prep course. And this is going to be my last tip for people who are interested in taking the TKT. I mentioned in the beginning I think I did mention in the beginning. I work at CNA CARUARU. It's a language school here in my city, Caruaru, countryside of Pernambuco. This is it. Very beautiful school, as you can see. And we are an authorized Cambridge center. We have all the language exams, and we also apply TKT, the TKT here at the school, which means that we also have the prep course for people who are interested in taking the TKT. For our prep course, you have live classes, okay? Everything happens online, but nothing is recorded. It's we have classes that happen through Zoom. So you have classes in real time, let's say. You have contact with other candidates who are also taking the same prep course with your tutor. You also have a team of other teachers and coordinators who are there to support you. And if you're a part of the prep course, you also have the mock tests, just like the ones that we have on the book, but extra. We have more at the end of the course. And you also get feedback from your tutor, so you can work a little bit more on some areas that you might need some help with. Your tutor can also offer you extra material, extra guidance to help you get the band that you want, to get the results that you want on the TKT. All right. So online course, yes, but we have live classes. Nothing is recorded. And we have special conditions for a little bit of a gift for the people who are here today. Anyone who is part of this webinar gets 30% off in our prep course until this Friday. So if you get in contact with our school until this Friday, you have the right to those 30% off of the price of the course. And you can talk to us through these emails here. We also have an Instagram and Facebook page. And if you have a cell phone available there with you right now, this QR code is going to redirect you directly to our WhatsApp. So you can send a message there to ask for more information. Camila is a CNA student. Nice. Very nice. Good to know. It's a great school. Nice. Nice. Very good. So if I managed to convince you that TKT is a good option for you, that's going to make you feel more confident about teaching, more confident about your practice, or if you're ready to start teaching, you can just talk to us and we'll be really, really happy to help you in this journey of getting ready for the exam day. All right. I am going to also put our Instagram here. Just a second. I believe you can see a click here button on your screen. So if you click there, it goes to our Instagram page. You can also talk to us through Instagram. We'll be really, really happy to help you. Thank you, thank you, everyone. Yes, you can take CELTA with CNA because here in Caruaru we have one school, but we have schools all over Brazil. And we can take CELTA with us remotely, as Derek has mentioned here. And that's what I have for you today. Thank you very much. You have my email here, also my WhatsApp number if you would like to talk to me. And the QR code is the same from the previous page. If you use your cell phone camera, you can talk to our school directly with that number. And if you have any questions, I'm yours. I'm here to answer them. Thank you. Thank you.